Hi everybody and welcome. Today we're going to go through some of the different types of questions you're going to see on your assessment coming up this week. So the first is two-step equations. So we always draw this line to make sure we're keeping balance on both sides, and our goal is to get to x equals, so to get the variable alone. So we do our inverse operation. So the opposite of minus 12, we add 12 on both sides. We're left with 4x on the left and 60 on the right side. We'll divide both sides here by 4, and we'll get that final answer of, oops, I wrote down the wrong thing, sorry there. We'll get that final answer of 15, not 25. All right. So again, carefully going through, showing the inverse operations each time and getting to that final solution there. All right, next we can also check solutions. So this is basically asking us, is our seesaw balanced when we're going through? So we take the value they give us and we just plug it in. And the only goal of doing this is to see, does the left side equal the right side? So if we have 7 plus 16, that's going to give us 23, and 23 does in fact equal 23, so we would say that yes, this is a solution. So do the same thing on the right for those two remaining questions. Hopefully that'll help for 2.1. Next, going on to 2.2. Getting a little bit more difficult. We have some fractions and decimals and distribution. A reminder for decimals for fractions, before we can flip them, we do have to make sure they're the only thing on that side. So we still follow the same steps as we would before in terms of subtracting our constant. The only difference is now when we get to the end, that final step is taking that 7 over 8, flipping it, and then we can distribute it in. So 7 over 8 with 8 over 7, it'll equal 1. And then on the other side here, we're left with negative 8 over 7. So reciprocal or flipping the fraction is what we need to do when we see questions like that. Otherwise, for the distributive property, multiply each term carefully. Don't forget about negatives, and then go through and solve as you normally would. And then for decimals, again, the same steps, just a reminder to be very careful with those decimal signs, either when you're plugging them into the calculator or doing the arithmetic yourself. All right. Next, having some challenging questions when we have multiple denominators. So if we take a look at a question like number 4, we have 3 different denominators here, and our goal for this question before solving is to get common or the same denominator. So we have 2, 3, and 12. So first we want to list out our multiples. And what we're going to see is actually 12 they all have in common. So this fraction is okay, but we need to change 3 over 2 into a fraction with 12 as the denominator. And then we need to change negative 8 over 3 to a fraction with, again, 12 in the denominator. So we can actually now rewrite this entire equation here as 18 over 12n minus 32 over 12 equals negative 29 over 12. So now it is our job to go through and finish solving this. So we have common denominators, which means we are allowed to add and subtract together. So we'd want to add 32 over 12 to both sides, and then eventually we'd go through and we would use our reciprocal for 18 over 12 to solve. So our goal for these, and I'll write out some steps here, is list your multiples, and then 2, define the LCD. All right, moving on to 2.4. This is where we're isolating variables, so they're telling us what to isolate for. So we want to solve for x, so our goal is to have x equals. So anything on that side that's not an x, we need to move over like we normally would. So 6 times x, the opposite of multiplication is division, so it's going to be g divided by 6. And that's all. So we're literally just going through, and anything that's not that variable, we are isolating, so we're going to move it away. So isolate the variable. All right, so we can do one more here. So solving for x on the second one. So add 2 to both sides. Anything that's not an x, we are moving it over. And then for that last step, we're going to divide everything by 2. So we'll get x equals 1/2 u, or u over 2, plus 1. All right, in our final skill, we are looking at inequalities. So identical steps to what we're going to see when we are solving equations. We just have to be very careful with our signs here. So again, following our same steps like we did for 2.1, except instead of x equals 3, it's x is less than or equal to 3. A reminder, if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip your sign. right, so that's what we have for today. Any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Good luck studying and good luck when you take the assessment, and I'll see you all